Hello and welcome to the 5 Minute Film Club. And James Bond is in his 80s. James Bond is now in the 1980s with For Your Eyes Only. The 12th official James Bond film sees Roger Moore's Bond try and relocate a missile control system called the Attack after it was sunk, supposedly accidentally, while aboard a Royal Navy submarine. The British ask a marine biologist called Sir Timothy Havelock to search the Ionian Sea for it, but while trying to, is brutally murdered along with his wife by a Cuban hitman called Hector Gonzalez. Their deaths are witnessed by their daughter Melina, who vows to avenge them. Meanwhile, returning star now of these James Bond films, KGB General Gogol, is also on the hunt for the Attack, and MI6 tasked James Bond with finding it before the Soviets. Bond heads out to Spain to find out who hired Gonzalez, but actually is captured by Gonzalez, who is then killed by a crossbow fired by none other than Melina Havelock, daughter to the murdered marine biologist. Taking back all their intel to the Q lab, Q and Bond use this interesting computer technology to try and discover who actually paid off Gonzalez before he was killed. They discover that that is none other than Emil Locke, and goes to his base in Italy to find him. While there, he meets his contact and well-connected Greek businessman called Aris Christatos, who tells Bond that the main person behind all this is another Greek businessman called Milos Colombo, who is known simply as the Dove. The rest of the film then is a fun mystery adventure with Bond and Melina zigzagging across Europe, trying to get to the Attack before the Soviets, while these two Greek businessmen are just fighting. Moonraker, when it opened, was a massive success, but producers Cubby Broccoli and his stepson Michael G. Wilson, who incidentally is also co-credited as having worked on the script alongside series mainstay Richard Maybaum, decided that they needed to go back to basics, not only because they were worried that continuing on from the scale of Moonraker wouldn't leave them much room for spectacle this time around, but also for the fact that Moonraker was bloody expensive. They took Bond film editor John Glenn and promoted him to director. John Glenn said that he wanted to make the new film more of a thriller than a romp, without losing sight of what made Bond famous, its humour. The story was then collated from various different Ian Fleming short stories, including Ristico and the film's namesake, but also taking unused elements from the novel of Live and Let Die. John Glenn decided to open his first James Bond film with a re-establishment of who Roger Moore is, and to tie him back to the original James Bond. And so we have a scene of him going to the grave of his dead wife Tracy. This opening pre-credit sequence is iconic, and I could never actually remember the film that it is attached to, but seeing the story of Bond versus Blofeld come full circle is perfect. And it also helps for me undo a tiny bit of what Charles Gray's terrible Blofeld was doing in Diamonds Are Forever 10 years before. Of course, this isn't actually Blofeld. They can't name this character Blofeld for legal reasons that I'll get into next week, but you know, he's got the neck brace on from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, you've got the cat, you've got the dress sense of Donald Pleasance. This is Blofeld, okay?
We can do a deal! I'll buy you a delicatessen!
I've said before that I tend to enjoy the James Bond films that err on the side of kind of an adventure story rather than the pure silliness of things like Moonraker. And I think For Your Eyes Only actually is my favourite Roger Moore Bond film. Immediately from that iconic opening and then the title credits with Sheena Easton actually appearing in person, a bit of a deviation from previous Bond titles. It's almost like a music video for the 80s. But the second that happens, I knew that this was going to be a Bond film for me. I think John Glenn just gets it right. He gets it tonally right for Roger Moore. And also he adds back in a little bit more bite than Roger Moore previously had, particularly in the scene when he kicks the car off the cliff. Something that Roger Moore was dead set against when they were filming it. He had his little old lady fans to think of. But, you know, James Bond is licensed to kill. Also, Roger Moore's Bond is shall we say, advancing in years, and they make the wise decision to make him more of a fatherly figure to Melina, played by Carol Bouquet, who is a fantastic James Bond girl. She's resourceful, she's beautiful, and deadly. A perfect trinity for a Bond girl. What they do with the other Bond girls is they actually have them kind of row themselves at Roger Moore, and he has to bat them away, particularly in the Energizer Bunny of BB, the figure skater, who's exhausting. However, there is a rather large caveat to the film, and that is its awful ending. I cannot stand the ending of this film. I remembered that a film had a impersonator come on as Margaret Thatcher and Dennis Thatcher and call Bond and end up talking to a parrot. But then you have, Melina taking off her robe in a boat and revealing her naked body to Bond, saying,
"For your eyes only, darling."
It seems to forget the relationship that's been going on previously in the film with the fatherly kind of nurturing relationship that she's had with Bond. And I'm like, yeah, that's a bit weird now. But anyway, regardless of the film's terrible ending, I do enjoy this one. As I've said, this is my favourite Roger Moore Bond film, and I think John Glenn comes in and puts a stamp on Bond, re-establishes him as the original James Bond, that this is all one character living through this experience, and taking us back, a kind of nostalgic look at those early Sean Connerys and kind of imagining Roger Moore in them almost. So For Your Eyes Only, love it. Now, this was meant to be Roger Moore's swan song, at least to him. He thought, I'm getting too old for this now, I need to move on. I've done a good film, For Your Eyes Only, I enjoyed it, let's move on. However, a certain chap called Kevin McClory, might have remembered him from a few videos ago when we were talking about Thunderball. Well, he had something up his sleeve, and that was to bring back Sean Connery and to remake Thunderball. But until then, thank you very much for watching this video. Please give me a like if you did indeed like it. Subscribe to the channel, I've got lots going on, including a special video in commemoration of Friday the 13th on Friday. But until then, thank you very much, and goodbye.